Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and you are along for the ride. I hope you're ready. Hope you're buckled in. Hope you've eaten not too soon before entering the portal, because I can't be held responsible for what might happen. People have been known to cramp up and drift off. I don't know what's happening, but certainly don't want you to lose your lunch as we go through our night of incredible intrigue and weirdness that makes up the paranormal. So how you guys doing? Happy Friday. First of all, let me be among the first, hopefully, to say you made it. You're into the weekend now. And as such, thank you for spending tonight with me. That means the world, and I hope to keep you wildly entertained throughout the course of this show. If I don't, just remember you're getting what you paid for. I still get a kick out of that joke. I've been saying it for years, and it still makes me chuckle. I don't know. I'm easily amused, maybe, but got a lot of stuff on deck here for you guys, and lots to get through. But hope first and foremost that in the second hour we'll be taking phone calls. If you want to call in and be a part of the show, we got 2 full hours ahead of us, and in the second hour you can call in 720-923-0500, and that's again hour number 2. We'll open it up to the phone calls, but also remember, if you got a paranormal something that you want to share, but calling in kind of freaks you out, you can always email it to me. I'm happy to receive emails as well and correspond through emails. Even if you just want to talk about something like, geez, this is going on, I don't want to think about it, and you just want a sounding board, email me. Let me know. It doesn't have to be for the show. I'm just happy to help. I've corresponded with many, many listeners who have experienced weirdness and tried to help them and steered them towards some resources to help them through what they're going through. So by all means, feel free to email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And so there's lots of ways to get in touch with us here. Remember to check out the podcast whenever you can. The podcast is on all the major platforms, Pandora, Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, CastBox, just a ton of them. So if you looking for more Portal, it's an audio-only format, but they're great shows. They're a lot of fun, and I love them. They are absolutely different than what we're doing here, though. Most of the podcasts are interviews with experiencers. So sometimes they're, quote-unquote, people in the field. Sometimes they are just people that had the experiences that reshaped their lives. So whatever the case, I hope you will check it out and definitely look into that. As such, let's see. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? I don't think so. As always, if you want to help support the show, there's many ways to do so. There's the donation up there, the donation text on the top of the screen. It's paypal.me/paranormalportal. You can always check out our Teespring store, and the Teespring link is in the description below on YouTube if you want to check that out. Otherwise, if you're listening where there's no picture, it's teespring.com/stores/paranormal-portal. And you can check out our gear over there, and otherwise just watch the shows, like them, hit the like button, share them, subscribe. There's so many ways to help us out, and we really appreciate all you guys are doing, because you make us great. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for you guys being here, it would just be me talking into a microphone, and that'd be kind of silly. So I appreciate you guys being a part of it and a part of the journey, and helping out in all the ways that you do. We are growing all the time, and we've grown to this size, and it's not huge, but it's huge to me, and it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you to all of you who have helped to spread the word, and all of you who will help to spread the word going forward. So we got a lot to go through tonight, but I guess, as always, it's Friday night. We got 2 full hours, and there's no better place to start than the news. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk. It's still me. I'm just bringing you the news now, though, so hopefully you'll find something in this part at least intriguing. I found a bunch of weird stuff today. Some of it's kind of weird, some of it's bizarre, some of it's kind of cute. Let's start with the cute. And I think this is kind of neat because it speaks to, you hear people when they're in relationships talk about getting in sync, or just in sync with each other. It's so amazing. We're just thinking the same thoughts. Well, there might be something to that. You might actually be right. Apparently, according to an article coming from animalien.com, This is when human bodies touch, their brains begin to work in sync, study claims. So you might be right. You might actually be in sync with your significant other. So take that to mean whatever you want. But I think it's a good thing. Says a team of scientists from Finland are in the process of studying the brain activity of two people in love, discovered a very unusual phenomenon. At the moment of close contact, the brain is synchronized. This was reported on the pages of Science Daily. For the experiment, the researchers pre-upgraded the MRI machine. The experiment involved 10 couples who spent 45 minutes in the apparatus. I think it was, it wasn't all weird. So, so anyway, according to the assigned task, the participants touched different parts of the body with their fingers, and it was forbidden to get up or move from the place. In the process of research, it was found that the sensor-motor networks of lovers at the moments of touch fall into resonance. Oscillations of the same frequency occur. According to scientists, that explains situations when people begin to understand each other without words. So empathy, I suppose. Maybe that's what empaths do. Maybe empaths can just resonate with people naturally. They don't even need the contact. But why is this happening and who is responsible for it is still a mystery. The researchers concluded that thanks to the discovered resonance, many couples in love live for years without losing interest in each other. And that's fantastic. And I think it's a beautiful thought. Apparently I'm getting some kind of survival stuff here too. Oh, geez. I don't want to give them any press. They're not paying the bills, but interesting all the same. I think there is something to that. And let me tell you, this is kind of weird and it's kind of far out there, but I've known people from Asia, and I've been involved with people from Asia, Indonesia specifically. And I've heard from many different people from Indonesia talk about the dangers of letting someone touch you. That isn't involved with you, that isn't a personal friend or anything. Apparently over there's a phenomenon that people are aware of, or at least talk about, where someone can come up with, I don't know if it's a specific training, a specific, practices or whatever, but they can touch you and you'll just blank out. Next thing you know, you're waking up somewhere going, where the hell have I been? Your bank account is empty and you don't have any of your wallet or anything, and you've spent all your money on some other person. And it's almost like they take over, and it's very strange. And I pondered that for a long time, like, what the hell does that mean? Is this like somebody taking over? But what if you take a phenomenon like this and you add in someone that has trained themselves mentally to overwhelm the minds of other people? Is that possible? I know it's way out there. Please forgive me, but this is the way my head works. This is how it works up here. It's a big mess, but it's curious, right? It's curious. Something to think about anyway. Is it possible then for one person to exert a will over another person if they can get synchronized with their brains? I mean, how far could this go? Is this research going to turn into something like that? How do we control it? And then it becomes kind of like, MK12 kind of stuff or whatever. And that's creepy stuff. I think it's MK Ultra. Sorry. I'm like screwing up Majestic 12 with MK Ultra. So I don't know. You be the judge. I got all this weird stuff floating in my head. So it's incumbent upon me to talk about it because, well, I'm the host. It's what I do. So that's the first story tonight. Weird, but there is a scientific precedent for it. And I think that's cool and endearing, but also could be concerning. They say knowledge is power and power corrupts. So I don't know. Anyway, you be the judge. That's the first one tonight. The second one is kind of some Bigfoot news, and it's not a real long thing, but apparently somebody might have found a print, and it's kind of quick. Little article, but let's read it. And this is coming from animalien.com. Bigfoot in Kelowna. A man discovered a huge footprint on his estate. A man from Kelowna claims he has evidence that Sasquatch exists. I hope I haven't covered this one already. I don't think I did, but maybe I did. If I did, it's redundant, and sorry about that. But this is a one-man show tonight, so you get what I give you. Roy Watson, who lives on East Kelowna's June Springs Road, recently shared a photo of a 6-inch wide footprint. 6-inch wide, that's huge. Be careful out there. East K has some possible Sasquatch prints in my yard this morning. I'm on June Springs, woke up to my garbage can torn to pieces, and my fence gate snapped. Anyone else come across some sort of animal last night or could identify this print? Totally weird if you ask me. Yeah, that really does look like a print. That's not just it's not like a double step that you'd expect from maybe a bear or something. Normally, though, they're not so destructive. They're not so over the top. It seems to me, and this is me inserting a lot of myself into it probably, but I think that they do go through garbages, but I think they're usually pretty careful not to alert people that they're going through the garbages because they're intelligent enough to know. But anyway, it says Watson claims the event occurred January 19th and was skeptical until he discovered the footprint. I didn't believe it at first, and then seeing the prints, it shocked me and completely changed my point of view. I didn't really believe before. Watson claims he heard noisy commotion in the night before he discovered the tracks. The next day, his garbage bin had been destroyed. I'm just as shocked as you. Some people don't believe it, but now I know it's real. It's all that matters to me. Watson has attempted to contact so-called Sasquatch experts. There are none, but anyway, since that day. But the only confirmation he's received is from a man named Brian Wells, who researched the prints. Wells says he couldn't prove the prints were from a Sasquatch, but he didn't rule it out either. The print is a man's shoe size 17 to 20. According to Watson, it's a very, very large print. Whether there's Sasquatch in the area or not, Watson says he's not taking any chances. I'm keeping my dog indoors at night now, and I make sure my door is locked. I'm a full-on believer. Well, it might be a size 17 to 20 shoe, but how many shoes do you know that have toes? I don't know of many. Any. Let me rephrase that. I don't know of any. Other than there's these one sock-like shoes that you can put over your bare feet, and it's supposed to be real nice and comfy. But other than that, I don't know. That's really strange. But I don't know what part of the world this is from either. I don't know where Kelowna is. It's from Castanet. Let's see what it says, if we can find out more here. Castanet, East Kelowna. Huh. So I really don't know where this is. Kelowna's homepage. Oh, it's up. Must be up in Canada. Okay. I guess it's up in Canada, folks. It looks like, because they're talking about British Columbia and Canada here, world business, blah, blah, blah. So I guess it's up north. From me, I don't know if it's up north or northeast or northwest or what, but anyway, that's up in Kelowna. So if you live in Kelowna, be careful. I guess you got to be careful anywhere, though. But it is rather strange that it's so forceful and it's tearing up somebody's garbage and their gate. I mean, that's over the top, right? Because there's no hiding that. See, I always assumed they're probably doing this all the time, but they're very careful about it. They know how to work latches and stuff. Like they'll open a latch and go in and do what they're going to do. They'll go through stuff, but they won't make a huge ruckus. But once they alert to somebody that they're there, then, of course, people change things. And they might start locking down their garbage with chains or whatever, you don't know. But I think the objective is for these things to get a easy meal, just go through the buffet line, so to speak. And tearing it up is kind of the wrong message, unless it was, really starving or something like that, like it had no choice, like I need food now. So that's always possible, I suppose. Anything desperate, it's off the charts with, making smart choices. But anyway, that's that. Here's one coming from some future space exploration. I like this kind of stuff, and we do kind of touch on technology here. And the reason why is because as our footprint expands outward, so will our knowledge of the universe. And as our knowledge of the universe expands outward, so will our knowledge of the universe and our microcosm. The macrocosm will explain the microcosm and all that. So I think that any step forward is a good step, And so we do talk about technology because it's going to enable us to make strides we haven't made before. This is an article from unexplained-mysteries.com, and this is new warp drive patent has emerged online. And I think I think this is kind of what other articles we've read have been alluding to, but let's take a look. A fascinating new patent for a real-life warp drive has been published by 2 engineers from Chicago. Anyone familiar with Star Trek will know what we mean when we're talking about warp drive, a theoretical means of propulsion enabling a spacecraft to travel much faster than the speed of light. Over the years, several scientists and engineers have attempted to create their own designs for a possible warp drive to varying degrees of success. However, to date, nobody's ever been able to actually build one. These concepts remain purely theoretical, at least for now. One major advocate of the idea of warp drive is undergraduate engineer Joseph Agnew, who has been focusing his efforts on a theoretical implementation known as embarking warp drive, which was itself designed by Mexican mathematician physicist Miguel Alcubierre. Alcubierre? I don't know. I'm probably screwing that up. But anyway, according to theory, the real-world warp drive would work by stretching the fabric of space-time in a wave, contracting the space in front of the ship, and expanding it behind. More recently, 2 engineers from Chicago, Jessica Galanis and Eaton Halm Suchard, have put forward their own patent application for a variation of Alcubierre's design that they call the Alcubierre White Warp Drive, which incorporates improvements by NASA Harold G. Sonny White. Their proposal flew mostly under the radar last year, just as the coronavirus pandemic kicked off, meaning that it has only recently started to gain more traction and news coverage. According to the patent, the new warp drive concept uses 2 gravitational walls to achieve a warp drive effect as means of propulsion while surrounding or enclosing a cavity or space where passengers can travel. They suggested a method for changing the metric space-time and creating space-time warp bubbles such that while from outside the bubble can advance in superluminal speed from when within the bubble speed is much lower than the speed of light. Superluminal is, in other words, the speed of light. So superluminal means above the speed of light. If sufficient warping is achieved, ship speed is slower than light speed within the region that surrounds it, even if it is moving faster than light with respect to the Earth. Whether such a thing can actually be built in real life, however, remains unclear, but it is certainly a fascinating look at a potential technology that could one day enable us to travel to the stars. Here we come. Where's the Vulcans? They got to show up anytime now. We'll be all set. Yeah, I like Star Trek. I did. I wasn't like a William Shatner Star Trek fan, but I liked The Next Generation. I liked Voyager. I liked Deep Space Nine back in the day. So, I don't know. I guess they're going to possibly reboot the whole Next Generation. I don't know if that's true or not, but I hope they don't. I kind of hope they don't. I wish they'd just take it up in a new place, you know. Why revisit the something they've already done? Then again, maybe Hollywood doesn't have any ideas left. Here's a weird one coming out of the interwebs, and I'm sure many of you have seen and heard of this. But we're going to talk about it on the show a little bit. And this is something called a deep fake. And this is kind of a new term. Basically, you can spoof a person, make it look like they're there doing something, even though they weren't. It's a digital alteration. So this is unexplained-mysteries.com. Tom Cruise deepfake is sign of things to come. A series of extremely convincing deepfake clips of Tom Cruise have raised both concern and intrigue. Fake news and misleading headlines are already significant issues in a world dominated by social media, but in the near future, it's going to become even more difficult to determine what is true and what isn't, thanks to a rapidly advancing technology that makes it possible to produce deep fake footage showing people doing or saying things that they never actually did or said. Early deepfakes were relatively easy to spot. However, already we are starting to see deepfakes that are so convincing that you would never know they were fake unless someone told you they were. Most recently, a set of viral clips of Tom Cruise have been raising eyebrows for this very reason. The videos, which appear on clip sharing site TikTok, show Cruise larking? I don't know. I don't know what the hell. I don't know how the hell you lark, but anyway, larking around with his signature laugh and mannerisms perfectly recreated via the fusion of computer imagery and real life actor. The result is eerily realistic to the point where it is very difficult to tell that it is not real. Yeah, that is creepy. The clips were created using machine learning software that analyzed large amounts of footage of Cruz to learn his appearance, facial movements, and nuances. His face was then superimposed on a footage of an actor who impersonates Cruz's behavior and voice. In the future, deepfake videos like this could be used to make politicians say things that they didn't say, misleading entire populations and making footage much more difficult to take for granted. Deepfakes will impact public trust, provide cover, and plausible deniability for criminals/abusers caught on video or audio, and will be and are used to manipulate, humiliate, and hurt people, wrote Social Proof Security CEO Rachel Toback. Yeah, that's concerning as hell. And that's the part where technology gets ugly. It's like, could you frame somebody? Could you set them up for all kinds of horrible things, when in truth they'd be absolutely innocent? And it's already tough enough to be an innocent person in a society that demands persecution. I mean, people are so wound up right now. Anything and everything they're attacking voraciously. It's horrible. Like there's no even in the public forum, there's no innocent till proven guilty. It's guilty till you prove you're innocent. It's all skewed. So add into it the idea that it may be very possible to create absolutely realistic and convincing material to show somebody doing something, very believably doing something that they never actually did. That's incredibly concerning. There's already been one that has to do with voice, where they were able to take samples of like Obama's voice, and I think it was Google that did this, and they could write a whole script and make it read by Obama's voice and be absolutely perfectly nuanced and delivered to sound like he actually read the material. So if you've got the voice, you've got the ability to recreate the mannerisms. I mean, what are you going to do? There almost needs to, be like a genetic fingerprint on every footage just to know who's who. And that's scary as well. It's like the only way you could prove your innocence is by surrendering more liberty. And I'm not big onto the whole, liberty or death thing, but I'm here to tell you that in this world of technology, it's like, man, it's scary that how many people are working on ways to screw things up instead of making things better. But whatever it is, I guess we'll have to see how it all unfolds. Just really concerning. And for those of you who are thinking about moving, I might have a good place for you. Might have a good place lined up. It'd be kind of small, but it could be yours. And this is from unexplainedmysteries.com. Iconic Area 51 Black Mailbox Ranch up for sale. I don't know what a black mailbox ranch is. The ranch, made famous for its black mailbox and proximity to secretive U.S. base, is now available for purchase. There are few places on Earth as notoriously secretive as Area 51, a remote facility in the Nevada desert that has become synonymous with stories of reverse-engineered alien technology and development of highly advanced black projects that next to nobody knows anything about. Despite efforts to keep people away from the facility, however, an entire culture has sprung up around it, making household names of some of the places and attractions in its vicinity. One of these, the Black Mailbox, which is actually white, is situated on Highway 375, otherwise known as Extraterrestrial Highway, at the 80-acre Medlin Ranch in Nevada's Tikaboo Valley. The original, genuinely black mailbox has generated so much attention that its owners were eventually forced to take it down and replace it with a more secure alternative. Despite the fact that the new one is white instead of black, the original name stuck and continues to be used even to this day. The ranch, which is the only available property bordering the infamous base, is now on sale for $4.5 million. However, it's unclear if it will go to new private owners or if the U.S. government will take advantage of this opportunity to expand the ever-existing restrictions of land around Area 51. Medlin is even pre-existing agreement giving him limited access to the restricted zone to enable him to tend his cattle, so long as he makes a radio call to announce his presence in advance. Whether this would extend to the new owners of the ranch, however, remains unclear. Yikes. There you go. That's Area 51. You could own property right up against it. Not that you'd be anywhere near the base still, but because even then, the base is so far away from all the fence lines and stuff. There's the bell. We'll have to continue with the news when we get back, folks, so hang on to your socks. There's a lot more to come. Just give me a couple minutes. Got to pay the bills, then we'll be right back. All right, folks, we are continuing on with the Paranormal Portal news here on the Paranormal Portal. And we're working through a story right now that we were briefly interrupted by the commercial. It came without notice because I wasn't paying attention. But working through a story about buying the... Oh, what the hell happened? We were working through... No, that's the wrong one. That's why. Working through a story about buying the black Mailbox ranch that butts up next to Area 51. Where the hell is it? Is this it? Where'd it go? Oh, yeah, there it is. It went over there, though. I think we got through it, though. For the most part, we got through it. We might actually almost be done with the news here. I think we might be, but, yeah, there wasn't much more. Okay. Well, that's the black Mailbox ranch. So if you want to possibly buy that, good luck to you, first of all. I'm pretty sure it'd probably get bought up by the government anyway, just because they don't want the prying eyes anywhere near there. But it's still, I don't think you could see anything but maybe some lights in the skies. But you can see those anywhere. Anywhere. Those are available. So let's get out of that and see whatever we got. Lark. Lark is not live action role play. I think a lark is like I don't know. I know it's an old figure of speech. I just don't know what I mean. It was suggested that it was LARP, live action role play. I'm like, no, that's LARP. But anyway, sorry. It's just that silly stuff. Let me make sure here. Let me look at what we got left. But I think we're tying up the news here in one fell swoop. We did. We just hit all the news, folks. So this has been, I could have done this before the break. I didn't even realize it. This has been the Paranormal Portal News. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Well, that kind of cut out really quickly, didn't it? Done. All right. But what do? It's the humor of the night. Thank you. Thank you. Blah, blah, blah. It's just part of the fun of the show. Part of the fun of the show, of course, is, doing it is the big part of the fun. I love doing the shows. Obviously, thank you all for being here with us. If you're not already subscribed and you're new to the show, checking it out, you're like, what the hell is this Paranormal Portal thing? We'd love for you to get subscribed, become part of the family. Hit the subscribe button down below, ring the bell, and hit the like as well, if you would, please. It helps us out a bunch with just tuning the algorithm a little slightly in our favor. Just a little bit. But, I don't know if it all matters or not, but that's what I'm told. I'm told that likes are pretty key in getting the videos recommended, as are comments. So if you're ever looking back at some of our old content here on YouTube, definitely leave comments if you would, please, because it's every interaction counts. It's like a point system. So apparently YouTube looks at it and goes, oh, they watched the video, but did they do anything? And, a lot of people aren't going to. They're just there to, and I have to be honest. I don't comment on most videos either, but I try to give likes because I think that helps the creators quite a bit. And, it might just be me wishful thinking, but we got a lot more paranormal to get through tonight. A ton of it, as a matter of fact. And with a metric ton, maybe. But probably not. However, the next thing we're going to get into is an article that I found on Occult Museum. And this gets into some ghost photography. There's some creepy ones in here. I don't know. Some of them could just be someone wandered in the frame, what we call now photobombing. Of course, with older cameras, the resolutions were a little slower depending on lighting, because you had to expose the film to a certain amount of light in order to get an impression. So if the exposure time was long, it's possible somebody could wander through frame, look, give you a wink and a nod, and then carry on through the frame, and they'd look like a ghostly apparition. That could be some of these, but you be the judge. I'm not saying either way. I like to keep an open mind. I think spirits are everywhere, and they can certainly choose to manifest or appear on film or cameras anytime they'd like. Well, let's see what's going on here. No, it was Lark, Mom. L-A-R-K. It was from the article was Lark. Now, it could have been misspelled. That's been known to happen on many of the articles we read, that they're not always delivered with the most professionalism. But these are people just doing something they love, so I can't blame them. All right, let's go on to this article, and this is, again, from the Occult Museum. And it's Haunted Camera. 15 people share their most unexplainable photographs. And that's creepy already. And I'm not going to do their intro thing. The girl with no face is the first one, and it's that first image. It looks like it must come from over in Germany or something, judging by the sign, but let's see what it says. I do not speak English. I use Google Translator. I live in Hungary. In the Hungarian language, I speak. The photograph was made in 1943 in Hungary, in Kapusfjord. My mother is in the foreground, photo taken by my father. A little girl standing in the background, but does not know anything. Just to show that there are no arms, no face. It's like a ghost or a demon. I hadn't really looked at that, but yeah, there is no arms, is there? There's the puffs where the arms would presumably come out. I guess I was thinking maybe she had her arms behind her back or something, which is also possible. But there aren't arms visible, but there is no face visible too. And that really is creepy. I don't know. That kind of changes the tune a little bit. I was just thinking, well, is it so hard that a kid just wandered in there and happened to be standing there? Maybe it's not actually facing the camera. Maybe it's facing away and the hands are in front of it. The hair is behind. And that is possible with a little sundress like that. It's hard to tell. Where's the front? Unless you got a face involved. And since the blackness does drip down past the neckline, I would assume that this is hair and the person is actually just facing the other way. It's just an illusion that it's facing towards the mother. However, the people involved, I guess, claim there's nobody was there. I don't know. I think could be just a false positive, but it is kind of creepy. I think to me, though, the biggest thing is that there is a descending darkness that matches the hair color. So this is most probably just the back of somebody's kid that's looking this other way, back towards these trees. I always just look at these old black and white photos and just have this sense of nostalgia. I don't know. I don't know if life was simpler then, or if it was easier. It was probably much harder in most measurable ways, but there just seems to be an innocence about the people in them. But maybe they're just really repressed. I don't know. But anyway, the next one is the man in the woods. And I don't know. Let's see what it says. Excuse me, a throat burp there. A friend who was going through his photos from last year's hunting season and found this pic. He says the trail camera is activated by movement, and yet there were no pics of the entity anywhere else except in this photo. If it were a person, there would have been several photos where the person entered into the vision field of the camera, and yet this photo was taken. The area in which the photo was taken is on a private hunting property, miles from any residential areas in northern Michigan. Also, at the end of October, it is usually quite cold and pitch black dark out there when where this photo was taken. And the guy's coming from another era, because he's got the pants all the way up to about nipple height there. So and I know everybody knows some old guy that does this. They kind of just do the pants all the way up to about the chest line and call it a day. And, God bless him, because you don't have to worry about the plumber crack or anything like that. But it's at about elbow height. That's where his belt is. And that's kind of cute and funny, but it doesn't seem to match that he should be there if this is the dead of night. And this was captured allegedly by a trail camera in about 2011. Looks like October 21st, maybe, is that date. So it is bizarre. Now, most of these are set to fire about three picture bursts. So reasonably speaking, there should be, like they said, a photo of him coming into frame, being in frame, and then exiting frame. But apparently it's just one photo. So yeah, that is anomalous. It doesn't make a lot of sense. He's not dressed for the weather. If this is northern Upper Peninsula, Michigan in October, it doesn't look like a traditional night vision photo, though. I will say that it's more black and white scale, really. But I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know what brand this is. I don't know if they've maybe used a sepia tone on the prints or on the pictures to bring out more detail or something. Maybe. I don't know. Very interesting, though. I don't know. Could be. Could be very well. And then there's this one. This is, the one thing I will say is that sometimes or oftentimes you look at these old pictures and nobody looks happy. They're all just sitting there. Just like that. And I imagine it's because of as we were talking before, the long exposure rates. You've got to freeze because they may have needed to hold an exposure for a few seconds. And so you just freeze. And of course the kid's arms are a little cloudy there because he's obviously not sitting still. But I don't know how long the exposure rate would be, but probably a second or two anyway, just to get enough light. The weird thing is this guy. And I'm sure that's what they're going to talk about in the picture, but I haven't read this before. Pardon me. Froggy. This creepy face in between my great-grandparents' heads. That's all they say. But it doesn't look like unhappy, right? It doesn't look like a malicious kind of face. It's like, oh, I'm here too. I'm the one up in the cupboard. It's me in the broom. I don't know. It doesn't look horrible. If it is indeed a ghost photo, and it could be, could also, could have been their parents or grandparents there. I don't know. But if it is indeed anomalous, shouldn't be there, then I guess it looks like a sweet face. It doesn't look like somebody that's trying to cause problems. It's an unusual pose for that era, though. People didn't usually crop in there like photobombing things. They were standing very stoically in their own space. So even the composition of the photo doesn't really make sense for the time. There wasn't usually those candid, hey, kind of shots back then. They were very structured and posed, and they took their shots. So it is unusual to see an image of somebody's face pressed between two heads and, not really there but there. It wasn't common for that era, though, of photography. This is a stealth cam sighting. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. I thought I read about this one a while ago, but let's see what it says. My friend has had a stealth cam set up on a deer trail in his property in North Carolina. This girl popped up on one of the frames. Also, there is what appears to be a man standing in the top right. Where's that? Are we talking this? That's kind of a stretch, though. If you're going to make a man out of that, that's pretty stretchy. I mean, it could be, but it could also just be the trees and the way they're grouped. I mean, that certainly isn't conclusive. This, however, is conclusive. You can tell clearly that's a child running. I don't know what time this was captured. 1916. 8:25. Where did it say it was? North Carolina. Should have probably still been daylight, though, right? 1900 hours. That's like 7 o'clock. 7:16. Isn't it? 7:16 p.m. on August 25th? There'd still be plenty of daylight, wouldn't there? So I don't know. This one could very well just be, there might be a road there. I don't know. They may have stopped to use the bathroom or make a bathroom break. I don't know. It doesn't match, though. That to me is a little peculiar because with that time stamp and date stamp, I mean, it gets dark at about 10 p.m., which is, 2,200 hours. And this is at 1900. So this should still be pretty good daylight when this photo is taken. So I'm not so sure on this one. I guess it could be. I can't say for sure, but those are the red flags for me. The extra hand. Now this says, I'm the kid with braces in the picture. I can honestly say that is not my hand. My parents' house is crazy haunted. Where's the kid with braces? This one? Where? Okay. So you got a hand here. You got a hand here. You got his arm here. You got a hand over here. I don't know which hand is the ghost hand here, but I guess one of these. Maybe that's just a gap. Maybe it's just really the same color dark behind there as his shirt. I don't know. That one's curious. There's a hand here, but I think that's the mom's hand. This is the kid's hand around the mom. Oh, no, she's got her hands clasped around him. I don't know, but I think that's his hand going over his shoulder. But what's curious is these two hands. I don't know. Or is this even a hand at all? I don't know. It's hard to say. Weird. This is the abandoned hospital. This photo was taken at a now abandoned hospital where I used to work. That's creepy. Again, if you want a haunted place, pick an old jail, prison, hospital, asylum. There's so much energy, so much sad, dark energy in those places. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just, those are the places you want to find a haunting. Go to an asylum, go to an old prison, go to an old jail, places where people were at their lowest, or hospitals. They're just such places where people are at their worst, in the worst conditions they can be. Maybe looking at being hung, maybe facing death by disease or accident, or fighting for life after a tragic thing happened to them. It's these supercharged events that just leave these powerful, what we assume are psychic imprints that could draw things to them. And I guess it wouldn't surprise me at all if there were spirits that just didn't know they were dead. They were just kind of confused. So this photo was taken at a now abandoned hospital where I used to work. And again, it's nondescript. There's only one frame. There's no reference to what the hell was going on. Could this be another person? Sure. It could just be somebody else in there with this person and created a blurry photo. But I don't know, apparitions are real common in those kind of settings anyway. So here's aboard the Queen Mary. And this is one of those places kind of on my bucket list. I'd love to go check this out. And this is the swimming pool area, apparently with a little girl drowned or something like that, and continues to haunt the area. But they've apparently captured an apparition on the stairs. And I say apparently because here's the thing. Anything behind this light in the frame is going to get washed out by the light. So this could be a person, but it could also be not a person. Again, not real specific, but that light is the hot spot, and it's going to change the color balance of the whole picture. And everything in this area is very deeply shadowed. And especially when you look at the cropped in view, you can see how that light really washes everything out. So it's possible, but let's look at it. My coworker's daughter caught this on the Queen Mary. They were taken on the same day, several moments apart. Oh, okay, so there's nothing here. There is something here. Gotcha. Okay. Several moments apart on a regular camera, just at different angles. No one was over on the other side, and this made me a believer. And it could be the Queen Mary's considered to be wildly haunted. And if there's going to be a place for apparitions, that's a good one too. I don't know. I'm just saying that, when you have lights like this in the foreground, that's a hot spot. It's going to be washing everything out behind it. And you can see even from this frame to this frame, now that we know they're two different pictures at a different angle, you can see how much that light washes out the railing here and everything, and how that blur of that light carries on all the way out into here. So it could make a person on the stairway look more ghostly, but you be the judge. Creeping child. This one is kind of creepy. I did look at this before the show. And here's the creeping child in case you didn't see it already. That's disturbing. This is a photo of my dad that was taken by his girlfriend in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains. This photo was taken on an iPhone, but zoomed in, hence the poor quality. There was no one around at the time. My dad said he had just come from that area and nobody was there. His girlfriend also saw nothing behind him while taking the photo. She didn't realize the figure was in the photo until they returned home. That is so wrong. Yeah, you just never know where they could pop up, I guess, but it could be. It does definitely look like a head with the hair and some kind of shirt on, but below that, there's no idea what the hell it is, but that's kind of twisted. Oh, this one kind of breaks my heart. I did see this one earlier, the old abandoned school. And this is the kind of thing that breaks my heart. If there are really children wandering around, that just really wrenches at me. It says, I grew up in a small rural town between the mountains. A couple of years ago, they were tearing down an old elementary school. A guy my mom knew went in and took pictures of it with his cell phone. When he uploaded them, this was one of the faces. I don't believe in stuff like this at all. I just really don't know how to explain it, since it was a cell phone pic, and I'm pretty sure that no one in my podunk hometown knows how to make fake pics. That's probably true. Now, there is those ghost apps. I guess what I should probably do is take this out, because unfortunately the ghost apps, they use a canned number of these images, and I've had people send me their ghost photos before, and I've Googled it and found the exact same apparition appearing on all kinds of different photos, and I'm like, you're using the ghost app, right? Yes. And I'm like, oh, well, here's your apparition in other pictures, and it's unfortunate, because I know people get excited, but unfortunately those ghost apps are notorious for creating fakes. But if this is legit, and if this isn't out there, then that's really sad, really sad. This is the Grim Reaper. I don't know why he's out there. Like, what, high five, thumbs up? What's going on there? Hey! Hi, Mom. There he is. It says that's all there is to it. There's just the Grim Reaper. Could be, I guess, if somebody's looking to have a real problem there, that could be what's about to happen. I don't know. Everybody looks safe, though. Weird. The old jail. And apparently what they're talking about is this little wisp over here. Thank you, Red Arrow. You make everything so clear. Thank you. This was taken in an old jail in St. Augustine, Florida. I set my camera to burst mode, and what looks like a half face popped up from the bottom right corner of only one picture. Where's the face? I don't know. I'm seeing this wispy thing, but I don't know if that's... Does that look like a face to you guys? I'm not seeing face when I'm looking at that. I don't know what I'm seeing, but it's not face. Could be, unless that's this. Is this like an eyebrow and that's an eye? I don't know. I'm confused. The Intruder is another one. An image caught on my former apartments in the upper floors of a Centennial house on a cheap digital camera using timers shot on my PC while I was at work in 2006. I was living alone at the time, second floor apartment, and this was not my landlord. Nothing stolen, nothing disturbed at all. All doors and windows are locked and intact. The thing that really creeps me out is about this picture, aside from the image, is that it's the only one of a time lapse that was set to take a photo every minute. The camera was somewhat hidden. I didn't have shutter sound, and yet the figure appears to be looking directly at the computer desk where the camera is hidden, very moment it was taken. Oh, I guess, yeah, this is so bad. I don't know what I'm looking at. Is that an eye, and a mouth? And what the hell is this? Is that another head? I don't know. That does look really, really, really twisted. Yeesh. If that was in your house, what would you do? There it is again. And it is, I don't know if this is stairs or is this some kind of watermark on top of it. I don't know. I guess it's a watermark because it looks like a 200 something. But creepy. The floating orb, folks. I've seen a few of those. They're more circular, the ones I saw. But I took this picture about 6 years ago in a power plant in Texas. We were doing electrical testing on night shift. It started as an orb floating around and turned into this. Huh. That's kind of weird. Is that an eye? Is that the bridge of a nose? Is that another eye? Yeeks. Yikes. I don't know, folks. I don't know what we're looking at, but that looks really twisted. Oh, here's the the stain. Is that an orb that just had an accident? Those silly little orbs. Yeah, well, I don't mind them, but they keep peeing on the floor. I pulled up some carpet in the apartment I found in Queens, New York, because I knew there was perfectly good wood floor under it. And after putting the room back together, I noticed a dark stain that kind of looked like a body. Almost like a body was left there for a long time and stained the floor, so I snapped this pic. Sorry for the quality. It was taken 2008-ish on a BlackBerry Bold. The white object is what is strange or unexplained about the pic, not the stain. Well, he didn't think he could make it to the bathroom. Look at his little guy. He probably doesn't have complete control of the faculties there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just being a jerk. But, I mean, it could be the place where somebody met their end. And if that's the case, that's horrible. But could also be where somebody's cat peed repeatedly. Black wood floors are real common with cat urine problems. They really do, like, stain the wood. It's horrible. If your cat ever doesn't go in the litter pan, it's going to be a problem. And if you have wood floors, this is what you're looking forward to once you peel up your carpeting. It's nasty stuff, and it goes into the wood grain too. It's just this horrible, horrible stuff. Oh, that's wrong. What are we at with the time? We got like a minute. We got not even a minute. All right, folks, we're going to go pay the bills here, so let's get on with this. Don't go away for more of the Paranormal Portal coming up in just a couple minutes. We're going to be heading into hour number 2, if you can believe it. It's happening so fast, but don't go away.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger boils inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 is upon us. Wow. Can you believe it? How fast does time roll here in the portal? Well, plenty fast. Let me just go on the record and say plenty fast. And of course, just want to say, welcome to all of you. Thank you for spending your night here with me on the Paranormal Portal. It's always an amazing pleasure to be doing the show. And thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of my world, at least for a little while. If you're brand new to the show, please get subscribed, hit the like, ring the notification bell, and make sure to spread the word. Feel free to share these streams on your social media if you think you might know people who will enjoy them as well. It will mean a lot to us. It goes a long way to help promoting the show, but we got a lot more show to go, so I guess it's time to get back to it. But thank you so much. And fade out. Ooh, just gives me chills. Sorry. It's kind of like my DJ. Waka, waka, waka. No, not that kind of DJ. But anyway, we're going through an article now on ghostly photographs, and it's creepy stuff. Some of it I think is explainable. I just think it's just happenstance things here and there. But some of it I think is legit, and it's tough because, like anything, you're sitting on the outside looking into a little glimpse of a fraction of a moment in time. But I think you still have to be objective. Believe me, if anybody has confirmation bias about the paranormal, it's me. I'd love to think everything is paranormal because I love this stuff. I love this stuff. But I don't think you can sacrifice critical thinking just because you want something to be real. And so I sometimes have to go, no, I'm not so sure. It's not fun, but it's just what it is. All right, so we have actually just one more. This is the very last one. My timing is just a little bit off. I could have just polished this up and been done with the article. But we're going to polish this one up anyway, and this one is coming from the Occult Museum. It's the last one of the 15 on this article, and that is disturbing as hell. I don't know where this is. I don't know what's going on, but let's read it and find out. It just is creepy. It's just creepy. Let's see what it says. It says, my friend forwarded this image to me and says his friend was working in his basement crawl space. Oh, no. That's not what you want to see when you're in the crawl space. Now, I can't account for this line. I don't know what's going on here. Why is there a clear distinction between the two? Is this... Oh, here's the face. Okay, so this is cropped in. I got it. Here's the face actually down here. What the hell is he looking at? Oh, that is just wrong. I don't know what they're doing. Here's the thing. I'd like to try to put myself into the mindset of these beings when they're in these situations. Like, what the hell are you doing? That's not normal. That's freaky. That's weird. What are you doing? And I don't know. Just sitting in a crawl space. No, that's not good. So that's going to wrap up this article. Again, this is from the Occult Museum. Definitely check out the site. They got a lot of great articles over there, and we cover a few here and there. Lately, we've covered several, but they're always adding new, and definitely support any of the articles, any of the sites that we visit throughout the course of the show. I hope you guys will help, and stop by those sites and check out their work, because always these sites are put on by people who just love what they're doing, and they love the paranormal too, and they're just trying to provide information and entertainment for people. So anything you can do to go over and find a good article, link it to your page, help promote what they're doing. That's a big help for all of us. We're all a community, so got to support each other. Got to make it work. So those are some ghost photographs, and I like ghost photographs. I really do, because I think there's some phenomenal captures out there. Some, as we've covered on previous shows just recently, are very old, from the old camera days. And the older they are, of course, the less likely to be hoaxed they are, I think. There was hoaxing back then. There was hoaxing way back in the 1800s on photographs. But, there was only a handful of techniques for doing it. So if you knew how to recognize the hoaxes, it wasn't hard to recognize when something was being faked. Nowadays, you can make deep fakes. It's like you can't even tell if the real person's there or not. So it's a conundrum. It's a bit of a conundrum. But at any rate, it's how it works. Let's see, what do we want to talk about next? I got a few other articles open. I got several other articles open here. But not that one. These, I think, will be kind of cool. This is an article from Just for Spooks. And I don't know. I haven't pre-read this. Again, one of the liabilities of doing a show is that, we do the paranormal, of course. And so I'm always out there looking for the paranormal. And you find a lot of times all over the place. But the problem is that it seems like a lot of sites just recycle other people's stuff, or it comes from Reddits, or it comes from, those kind of things, creepypastas, and it's hard to know. But everything we represent on the show is at least supposed to be real. I'll never bring fake stuff to the show. I don't want to hear fake stuff. I don't want that to taint the knowledge that I'm trying to get from studying this stuff. So I'll never bring you fake stories. I'll never bring you exaggerated stories. That word was just gone from my head. I won't do that, because this to me is a journey. This is a very sincerely my journey into understanding that. And that I can have a show and share it with you guys is just extra cool. But this is all about me trying to understand this stuff, because I've seen a bunch of it in my life. I don't know what it means. I think I have some pretty good ideas here and there, but for the most part, I'm just trying to sort it out just like everyone else. So, I get nervous every time I see people use the word experts. We talked to a Bigfoot expert. Really? Are you sure about that? You talk to somebody who's maybe looked into the phenomena a bunch, but there can be no experts until we have something to expertly study. And there is no such thing right now. By the way, I keep seeing notices online now. The Oklahoma bounty for a living Bigfoot being captured is over $2 million. You know what that means? There's a lot of idiots that are going to get hurt, and I'm not saying that even most of them will probably not even get within the same zip code as a Bigfoot, but they're going to hurt themselves. They're going to hurt other people. They're going to be trapping each other all over the place, because they're, it's $2 million. It's like, are you kidding me? That's payday. That's bank. You're going to make bank out there. So nothing good is going to come from that. It's just a stupid idea in a long, sad history of stupid ideas. There's going to be people getting hurt. They're going to be hurting each other. They're probably not even going to get near a Bigfoot, any of them, but they're going to end up hurting each other. They're going to be traps all over the place. People are going to forget about traps. A trap that might be designed to take down an 8-foot, 900-pound piece of beef is going to take off somebody about 5'6". It's going to take off their head, because it's a whole different ball game. So you watch. There'll be lots of tragedy coming out of old Oklahoma this summer. So anyway, or is it New Mexico? One of the two. I think it was Oklahoma, though. We're going to get to this article, and this is 15 people share their intense paranormal experiences. God, I hope I haven't read all these before. What? I did read this one before. Wait a second. I gotta look at this quick. Hold on. Let me go back here. Yeah, I think. Let me just read through one of these quick. Yeah, this is one we just read. Okay. Well, it wasn't signifying that in the history, but it's either a copy or I have pulled this one up before. So I got to switch gears. Sorry about that, folks, but best to know. I guess right now, this is one that I talked about talking about. I talked about talking about on an earlier show. And this is one, this is, I think, on last night's show. I talked about going over this article, and I thought we would do it tonight, and I think we will. Now that I realize I just had already read an article that I was going to reread in typical Paranormal Portal fashion. All right, so here we go. This one is, everybody's familiar with Harry Potter. Not many people, I don't think, are very familiar with alchemy. I think we all have an idea of it's these wizards and chemists that were working on transforming quicksilver or mercury into gold, lead into gold, transmuting things, etc., etc. It's been glorified and glamorized by, all kinds of animes like Full Metal Alchemist and all kinds of science fiction stuff, but or fiction work. But there apparently were alchemists. This is a real thing, and they were working on, unlocking the keys to the universe. I saw this article, and this is by Brent Swanser. It's from March 10th, 2021, so it's brand new. And I was floored by it because I didn't know this was an actual historical alchemical figure. And the person I'm talking about is mentioned in Harry Potter as the one person who allegedly successfully created the Philosopher's Stone. And his name is Nicholas Flamel, just as you hear in the Harry Potter books. And so this article is called "The Strange Tale of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel." It's really, really interesting. So I did read this one prior because I was like, wow, I had no idea. So it was a real epiphany for me, but it's coming from mysteriousuniverse.org. Again, Brent Swanser, a friend of the show, has a group online on Facebook, Dark League Paranormal. Definitely go over there and get involved in the group. You'll get notifications of all of his articles. Every time he writes one, he posts notifications. He sends his notifications to me too, which is really cool. So I get in the fans group, he sends them over there, and really, really phenomenal writer. I've been a fan of his forever, and I can't blow his horn enough because I always learn something from his work. But anyway, this is an article called "The Strange Tale of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel," mysteriousuniverse.org. And I encourage you to check out that site, though. They've got amazing articles all over the place. Since the dawn of time, since humankind became aware of our own mortality, there have been those who have sought to stop the inevitable approach of death. The search for immortality has become a common theme of obsession in many stories throughout history, from ancient Chinese emperors seeking elixirs of life to those looking for the actual fountain of youth. It seems as if there are no limits to the lengths people will be willing to go to live forever. Yet, while it all seems like it must surely be purely a mythical dream, with no basis in reality, there have also been those who have been claimed to have actually achieved it. One of these was a man who lived in the 15th century, who through ancient magic and alchemy supposedly found the secrets to eternal life. The man, known as Nicholas Flamel, was born in 1330. Going on to live in Paris and become a scribe, a manuscript seller, he had two humble shops in Paris and married a woman named Paranormal in 1368. Well, this all seems fairly mundane. A woman named this all seems fairly mundane for the most part. And indeed, Nick Flamel was not much talked about. But after his death, he began to draw to him all manner of strange stories that catapulted him into a larger-than-life figure with myriad of mysteries. My God, is that him? He looks like a hobbit. We're off to see the wizard. All right. I'm not making fun of you, Nick. Sorry, in case you're still out there. It was in the 17th century, hundreds of years after Flamel's death in 1418, that stories of Flamel's secret mystical life began to do the rounds, painting him to be far more than just a humble scribe and bookseller. It was claimed that he, in fact, had been deeply into the mystical arts of alchemy, an interest which had turned into an obsession, starting with a dream. The story goes that one night he had a vivid dream of an angel who came to him showing him a book and proclaiming, "Look well at this book, Nicholas. At first you will understand nothing in it, neither you nor any man. But one day you will see in it that which no other man will be able to see." In the dream, Nicholas had reached for the book, but woke up before he could touch it. Over the coming days, the surreal dream lurked in the back of his mind, only to come crashing back to him with the arrival of a mysterious stranger into his shop. The man came in off the street with a book that he said he needed to sell for money. Not particularly strange considering Flamel's line of work, but what was strange was that he immediately recognized it as the very same book that the angel had been holding in his dream. Flamel immediately purchased the book and brought it into his study to examine it. The cover was an ancient-looking ornate worked copper adorned with arcane symbols and designs. And opening, it showed that it was apparently authored by Abraham the Jew, prince, priest, Levite, astrologer, and philosopher. This was followed by a litany of warnings to the reader of the book being cursed for those who were not worthy to read it, followed by pages and pages of cryptic text, design, illustrations, diagrams, and symbols, all written in an unintelligible hodgepodge of Greek, ancient Hebrew, and other languages, most of which he did not understand, and some which he had never seen before. Flamel apparently knew enough to recognize that the book had something to do with alchemy, and he suspected that there were profound secrets within the book's pages, but at that time, these eluded him. So began his obsessive quest to decipher the book. Flamel allegedly went on to make understanding the book his life's work, feverishly spending all of his available time scouring Paris for clues, and locked away in his study hunched over it. He would spend around 21 years doing this, slowly unlocking certain bits and pieces of the manuscript, yet it still eluded him. He then decided to take a journey to Spain, where many Jewish exiles lived at the time, to see if he could find more answers there. And it was sometime during his trip to Spain when Flamel would supposedly meet a Jewish scholar and sage by the name of Maestro Conscious. I don't know if that's pronounced right, but that's as good as I'm going to be able to do, who identified Flamel's book as being an original copy, or being a copy of the original book of Abramelin the Mage, one of the greatest masters to have ever studied the mysteries of the mystical Kabbalah. This book is said to have been lost long ago, but that it would always find its way to a person who was destined for his secrets. The sage translated the few pages Flamel had brought him before agreeing to return to Paris with his help with the rest of it. Sadly, Conscious would die before it was completed, but Flamel had learned enough to continue decoding the manuscript himself. According to the tale, Flamel took 3 years to finish the translation, in the process unlocking its vast magical powers. For one, it's said he learned the secret to creating the legendary Philosopher's Stone, the key to coveted art of transmutation, or turning base metals such as mercury into gold, an ability long sought after by alchemists. Interestingly, during this time, it seems that Flamel became suddenly and inexplicably rich. Suspected to be through the use of alchemy, he and his wife began giving massive amounts of money to various philanthropist projects, as well as making donations to the church. With no one able to figure out where all this money was coming from, King Charles VI of France even ordered an investigation into Flamel out of suspicion. I'm trying not to rub my eye, but it's just not going to agree with me. But there was nothing found that could account for this wealth, and no sign of any shady dealings. Historical records indicate that officially, Flamel died in 1416. Sorry, folks. My eyes get a little funky after a while. At the age of 88, after which his house was ransacked by people who would steal the Philosopher's Stone and the Book of the Abramelin. But it was never found. In the early part of the 17th century, a man named Dubois claimed to be the descendant of Flamel, and also that he had inherited some of the secrets and could fashion gold from lead. Man, sorry about this, folks. I just can't see it. It just burns. All right. So, let's see. It's told, when the powerful Cardinal Reichlu heard of this, oh, Jesus, now the other eye. Are you serious? Oy. When heard of this, he tried to extract the secret from Dubois, finally resorting to imprisoning Dubois and stealing the book, but he was apparently never able to understand it. And after that, the whereabouts of the book are unknown, lost to the mists of time. The 17th century also saw various texts suddenly appear to talk of Nicholas Flamel's alchemical prowess, with books supposedly written by him appearing as well, to the point that he became legendary and served to fuel the massive popularity of alchemy at the time. Even referenced by Isaac Newton, journals to the Catechus of the Dragons of Flamel. In the meantime, rumors began to swirl that not only had Flamel managed the feat of transmutation, but he had also harnessed the secrets of immortality. Although Flamel had supposedly died in the 15th century, stories began to appear that all was not as it seemed. Besides various alleged sightings of Flamel long after he should have been dead, in the 17th century, an archaeologist named Paul Lucas was in Brausa, Turkey, sent by King Louis XIV on a fact-finding mission. While he was there, Lucas made the acquaintance of a wise philosopher. Oh, my God. Of a wise philosopher who told him that Flamel and his wife had harnessed the secrets of immortality through the use of the Philosopher's Stone. According to this philosopher, with the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone, a person could live for thousands of years, and that there were those out there who had managed to achieve this, including Flamel. Luke was told that Flamel and his wife had both achieved immortality, faked their own deaths and funerals, and then moved to India, where they still lived. Eey. Wow, that's weird, huh? Although Lucas was skeptical at first, he started to believe when the philosopher described the book of Abramelin and how Flamel had come into its possession. Had Flamel really managed to beat death? Well, no one really knows. Flamel would remain a fixture of the alchemical world into later centuries. Mentioned in various works of fiction, even making its way into modern pop culture, appearing in the best-selling novel Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and its film adaptation, as well as the spin-off of Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Of course, considering that Flamel never was really known as an alchemist until books published centuries after his death, there is the argument that these were nothing but myths, dressed up around real historical figure in order to sell books. The manuscripts attributed to him, written by someone else, for the whole of it embellished at best and pure fabrication at the worst. It leaves us to wonder just how much of any of it is based in fact, and just where the myth ends and reality begins. Nicholas Flamel certainly did exist, but was he ever an all-powerful alchemist who found the secrets of the universe and eternal life? Or is this all just lore and legends? Is he just a historical figure draped in myth, or is he perhaps out there right now, still just as vigorous and alive as ever? It's hard to say, but Nicholas Flamel has definitely made his mark upon history one way or another. That is incredible. I don't know that could be, but I think it's fantastic to ponder. It's fantastic to think about such things. Like, could there be someone like that out there? Could have unlocked something? Maybe. It seems kind of silly to think about, because every example we have is that we're born, we grow, we age, and we die. We pass back into wherever we came. And such is the reality of our existence. But there are legends of people that lived longer. And I think that those legends have some truth. There are legends of a tribe of people, I think in Russia somewhere, that live well over 200 years. And I might be mistaken. That might be Japan or something else. But the point being that our normal idea of longevity can be quite different. And is that a genetical factor? Is it a factor of their environment, or what is it? I don't know. But is it possible people continue? That it's possible. I think somewhere, maybe not during my lifetime. Where the hell's my mouse? There it is. Maybe not during my lifetime, but during the lifetime of our children, that someone is going to figure out how to reverse aging. And then we're left with what then? Because we don't have a declining population anymore. All right, well, let's go to the last break. We'll come back in just a couple minutes and we'll talk some more. Don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. That's me just doing a little beatboxing here. Getting all this soul cooking up because we got 1/2 hour left to go. My God, it's flown by. It always flies by. Now, tomorrow night, it's a 2-hour show as well. And it won't be just me. According to court records, Don should be here as well. Like he's sentenced to serve. Yeah, we should be expecting Don here tomorrow night, folks. According to the judge, he's supposed to report. We'll see. No, he'll be here. Don will be here tomorrow night, folks. So, and tomorrow's Bring a Friend night to the Paranormal Portal. So, bring a friend. And, I don't know, just trying to think of exciting new ways to bring more people into the show. Bring a friend night. And if you bring your friend, you too could get half off the price of admission. Just saying. Just remember, you get what you pay for. We have 30 minutes left to go, 25 minutes, whatever. I just want to take a moment and say, if you're watching, listening on tfrlive.com, God, I haven't even looked at the TFR Live chat tonight. My God, what's going on over there? There's several people over there. Paisley's over there, and that's what I was just going to mention. Because coming up next is Paisley Wild, The Spaces Between on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and she streams as well on her own channel on YouTube, youtube.com/The Spaces Between. Great show. Help support her. She's a dear friend. We love her bunches. And but who's over there? Lucky's over there. Bam's over there. Psycho Dave's over there. Nightshade's over there. And Doc Michael. Hi, Doc Michael. That's a new name. Good to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in over on tfrlive.com. And who's in the YouTubes? Let's just find out quick. Got Aaron Eisner, Aiden Gonzalez, Android Purity, Aussie Tiger. How you doing, Aussie? Blessings for Julie. Great to see you. Bomber's here. Brooks is here. The Ocean Swagger's here. Elaine's here. Ethan's here. I am Pam. What is it? Is that a J or Isu Reloaded? Okay. That's a cool name. Les is here. How you doing, Les? Magoo is up in here. I'm here. Ruthie's here. The Rotman's here. Titan's here. And more people came up who just popped up. Dig-a-Dog's here. I see you, Dig-a-Dog. Justin Goodearth. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Justin was one of the guys that made the journey up to Coloma. And it was really cool to kick back and hang out. It was such a cool experience. And we're going to do more of that this year. So I hope, if any of you, I'm going to just drop this now, Brent. We're getting our money's worth. Thanks, Bam. I'm just reading some of the old chat in TFR. I hadn't been paying attention, but on June 19th and 20th, there's a Bigfoot festival in Madeline Falls, Washington. Now, it's just a little west of us here, where I am in the north tip of Idaho. But Don and I are going to be going over there for that. Now, as far as I know, a lot of the tickets have been sold out, or most or all of them, for the speaking engagements. But there's going to be stuff going on around that whole town having to do with Bigfoot. You don't have to come and dump your wallet. If you can just make it there, make arrangements to camps in one of the close by campgrounds would be great. It's going to be June, so it should be reasonable. And hang out. You could meet Bob Gimlin. You could meet Ken Gerhard. You could meet Don and I, if that's interesting to you. I don't know why it would be, but we're going to be there, and you can hang out with us and come see the festival. It's going to be kind of a crazy time, but I'm really looking forward to it, and that's coming up in June. So I know that's on our calendar this year. So I hope those of you who will come will come. It should be a great time. But we are cruising through the night. I've got 21 minutes left. So I got to fill it with paranormal. And for those of you new to the show on YouTube, the reason we take the breaks is because we are simulcasting on Friday and Saturday nights on tfrlive.com, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live on the Truth Frequency Radio Networks channels on those other sites, respectively. So those networks take breaks. And as such, in order to keep everything in continuity, I put together those videos for the breaks that we have to take here on YouTube to keep everything cohesive. So that's why I do it, not because I don't have enough to do or enough to tell you. But anyway, so I've got another article here, and this one's kind of creepy. I think I made it through everything else there. Yeah, we made it through Nicholas Flamel, so I'll close that. And once it closes. But here's another article that I found. I thought it was kind of creepy because I got to tell you, of all the jobs that I think people do, the one that I just don't think I could get anywhere near. And it's not because I just think, oh, it's so gross or whatever. No, it's just that maybe it's just me coming to terms with my own mortality. Maybe it feels like something I don't want to deal with, but it's an undertaker, a mortician. A mortician is a tough job, but they do an incredible service to all of us because they take us at our worst and they present us, for one last moment to share with our families before the parting. And that's a beautiful thing. It really is. But if there's anybody sticking around their body, the people that are going to be seeing that or dealing with it, I would think would be a mortician. So here's an article that I found that I thought might be kind of interesting to go through. I don't know how long it is. It might be kind of quick. It's pretty quick, unfortunately. But let's read through it anyway. And this is Undertaker recalls his paranormal experiences. And this is from unexplainedmysteries.com. And it says an undertaker named Morty Stein has gained fame by sharing his own unsettling experiences on TikTok. So I guess you can find Morty Stein on TikTok. I didn't know that. While many paranormal investigators will venture out to cemeteries and crypts in search of paranormal activity, undertakers spend their whole working lives in close contact with the deceased. Yes, they do. Unsurprisingly, some of them have their own ghost stories to tell. One of these is Morty Stein, otherwise known as Funeral Home Confessions on TikTok, who's been regaling his followers with unsettling tales from his time working in an alleged haunted funeral home. A few years ago, I used to work at a funeral home that had a reputation for being haunted, he said. There was a loft that overlooked the chapel, and the only way you could get up to the loft was to open a really creepy door and go up some really rickety stairs. So if anybody opened the door or went up the stairs, you would know somebody was on their way up. We were actually watching our boss conduct a service, and while we were upstairs in the loft watching the service, we heard this voice yell out, "Get out of here!" Wow, I guess that's the incident. But in another incident, Stein had been preparing a body for viewing. The family came in and did the final viewing. They had the visitation, and at the end of the visitation, after everybody left, I was getting ready to close the casket, and the left hand was over the right, so I changed it and put the right hand back over the left, closed the casket lid, locked it, and I went home. He said, the next day I came back. I was the first one in the funeral home. I unlocked the casket, opened it up, and the left hand was over the right. It could have been someone playing a joke on me, but I think it was a ghost. You can check out more of his eerie tales here. I'd love to do that, but I don't have his permission to share his TikToks and stuff. But that sounds like great. Like, it'd be phenomenal. I wish he had more in print that we could share here. But, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I think if twice you changed the hands and twice they were changed back, then leave them alone. Obviously, there's something about the rights and left for that person that, they wanted it that way. Let it be. I don't know. That's wild. But it doesn't surprise me. I think they would have the most opportunity to experience a lot of spirits that probably aren't even aware that they're deceased. They probably don't know, or they're just coming to terms with it. I think you hear all the time people talk about spirits attending their own funerals. And how do they know? I don't know, because I can't imagine spirits are going back and going, hey, I was at my funeral. You look great. Love that dress. We don't know, but we kind of believe that they do. Maybe they stick around for a period of days or weeks and they just maybe hang close to their own body because that's their ground on this plane, and they just watch. Man, that'd be so bizarre, though. I don't know. Yeesh. I know, and I'm familiar with the concept. I believe in the concept that this is a vehicle. This is like nothing more than a car that my soul is traveling through this experience of my life in. And, I've come to terms with that. I think that that's accurate. I don't think this body is the whole of me or even just a small part of me. It's just a vehicle for me to do my life. And certainly, as with all things in this, plane of existence, things break down and fall apart. That's just the entropy is just a natural part of the world. And so I know, but I think we all get attached to this body. We all get attached to these vehicles that we're in, and it's separating that. There's got to be a bit of a psychological trip. So maybe it's necessary to stick by the body just for a while to break that connection. I don't know. Maybe there's a gravity to it too. You never know. Maybe there's like a gravity to our remains. Now we always hear stories of haunted graveyards, people seeing, apparitions, some famous resident of a graveyard is haunting it. And why? I don't know. There was a movie that had Michael J. Fox in it, and I don't remember the name of it, but I actually really did like the movie, and it was where he was kind of a medium, and he had these two ghost guys, and they were kind of like scamming people, but he was actually a medium, but they were setting up hauntings, and he'd go solve them and get, paid money and stuff, and it was humorous, and then he ran into, a real dangerous situation and had to deal with it, but there's a part where he goes, running away from this evil spirit that looks like the Grim Reaper, and goes into the graveyard, and the graveyard's just teeming with all these ghosts just hanging around and having a social club kind of thing there. And I was thinking, well, that's kind of a neat take on it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe there's part of our energy that stays with our bodies until there is no body anymore. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's a fragment of our soul that's embedded in these bones and in this body. And maybe it becomes its own thing after our passing, after our divine self departs. Maybe whatever that imprint is creates an existence of its own. I don't know. Maybe that is. It's hard to know. That's the part of the paranormal that's so weird. How do you know? And I don't know. I don't even pretend to know. God, there's some stuff here this one is kind of not too long. I want to read this article, and this one's kind of interesting. I haven't read it before, but I'm going to have to blow it up a ton because it's microfish. That's kind of a dated reference now too, because of the advancement of technology and the internet, people don't talk about microfish anymore. I don't want cookies, but all right, I'll accept them for whatever. But microfish is like this microfilmed version of newspapers and stuff that are archived in libraries. And you have to take them to these special machines where you put in the long film strip and you wheel through it looking for articles through the archives. And it's a slow go. You got to have a pretty good target date in mind to get to what you're looking for. Otherwise, you're going to spend years rolling through old newspapers. But I don't know. With the advent of the internet, people can just Google and search and stuff, and there's no microfish anymore. Maybe there still is, but people don't talk about it. But I'm going to read this article as quickly as I can, and it's from Scientific America, of all places. And I thought this is kind of neat. It says, brilliant scientists are open-minded about the paranormal stuff, so why not you? Yeah. Exactly. All right. This article says, in last week's post on the Turing test, I mentioned the fact that I stumbled on the Alan Turing exhibit in the Science Museum in London. The pioneering computer theorist who was a believer in telepathy or mind reading, Turing was apparently impressed by the card guessing experiments of J.B. Rhine. Then last weekend, I learned of a prominent scientist whom I once interviewed that had a vivid vision of the violent death of his child shortly before it happened. An example of clairvoyance. Serious scientists aren't supposed to believe in paranormal phenomena, sometimes called psi, like in the 70s, and yet some serious scientists do. I thought it would be fun to list a few, starting with the ones like Turing have passed into the great beyond. Psychologist William James served as the first president of the American Society for Psychical Research, which investigated paranormal phenomena, including ghosts, in his essay, What Psychical Research Has Accomplished, published in the late 1890s. James called a ghost channeling medium, Lenora Piper, a white crow, who had shaken his skeptical materialism. I cannot resist the conviction, James wrote, that knowledge appears which she has never gained by ordinary waking use of her eyes and ears and wits. What the source of this knowledge may be, I know not, and have not the glimmer of an explanatory reason or suggestion to make. But from admitting the fact of such knowledge, I can see no escape. So when I turn to the rest of the evidence, ghosts and all, I cannot carry with me this irreversibly negative bias of the rigorously scientific mind, with its presumption as to what the true order of nature ought to be. I feel as if, though the evidence may be flimsy in spots, it may nevertheless collectively carry heavy weight. The rigorous scientific mind may, in truth, easily overshoot the mark. Science means, first of all, a certain dispassionate method. To suppose that it means a certain set of results that one should pin one's faith upon and hug forever is sadly to mistake its genius, and degrades the scientific body to the status of a sect. I love James, who throughout his career achieved a rare balance between skepticism and open-mindedness. By the way, he eventually became disenchanted with Piper. The psychiatrist Carl Jung was a much more aggressive proponent of occult phenomena, notably synchronicity, which consists of coincidences that aren't really coincidences that hint at the existence of a hidden reality imbued with profound meaning, where the mental and physical realms interact in ways that conventional science cannot explain, or something along those lines. Jung once described an example of synchronicity. A young woman I was treating had at a critical moment a dream in which she was given a golden scarab. While she was telling me this dream, I sat with my back to the closed window. Suddenly, I heard a noise behind me, like a gentle tapping. I turned around and saw a flying insect knocking against the window pane from the outside. I opened the window and caught the creature in air as it flew in. It was the nearest analogy to a golden scarab one finds in our latitudes. A scarabide beetle, that common rose chafour, which, contrary to its usual habits, had evidently felt the urge to get into a dark room at this particular moment. I must admit that nothing like it ever happened to me before or since. Although he ruled out God, Jung's supposedly hard-headed mentor, Freud, did not rule out telepathy. He expressed greater conviction about telepathy privately than he did publicly. According to Occult and Freud, an essay by philosopher David Livingstone Smith on the Freud Encyclopedia, Freud believed that he had communicated telepathically with his daughter, Anna, and a colleague, Sandor Ferenczi, but Freud dissuaded Ferenczi from publicly reporting on the experiences. In a 1922 paper, however, Dreams and Telepathy, Freud proposed an incontestable that sleep creates favorable conditions for telepathy. Freud once compared telepathy to telephony. Unimpressed with that two psychiatrists and a psychologist had occult sympathies, well, how about Nobel-winning quantum theorist Wolfgang Pauli? After a nervous breakdown in 1932, Pauli sought treatment from Jung, who convinced the psychiatrist that the physicist that his dreams were packed with synchronistic significance. As quoted by the religious scholar Charlene Burns in a 2011 essay, Pauli wrote to a colleague that we must postulate a cosmic order of nature beyond our control, to which both the outward material object and the inward images are subject. He also postulated that synchronicity might stem from some quantum effect that weaves meaning into the fabric of nature. On the other hand, Pauli talked trash about Jung behind his back, complaining to another physicist that Jung was quite without scientific training. Two accomplished living physicists who believe in extrasensory perception are Freeman Dyson and Brian Josephson. As I mentioned in a post last year, Dyson has written that paranormal phenomena are real but lie outside the limits of science. No one has produced empirical proof of psi, he suggests, because it tends to occur under the conditions of strong emotion and stress, which are inherently incompatible with controlled scientific procedures. Josephson won a Nobel Prize in 1973 when he was only 33, and since then has become an aggressive proponent of research on psychic phenomena. Yes, I think telepathy exists, he told The Observer, a British newspaper in 2001, and I think quantum physics will help us understand its basic properties. In 1991, poll on the members' National Academy of Sciences found that only 4% believed in ESP, although 10% thought it was worth investigating. My guess is that many more scientists believe, at least tentatively, in paranormal phenomena, but they are loath to disclose their views for fear of harming their reputations, and even science as a whole. As Turing noted, paranormal phenomena such as telepathy and telekinesis seems to deny all our usual scientific ideas, how we should like to discredit them. Unfortunately, the statistical evidence, at least for telepathy, is overwhelming. It is very difficult to rearrange one's ideas so as to fit these new facts in. Once one has accepted them, it does not seem a very big step to believe in ghosts and bogies. The idea that our bodies move simply according to the known laws of physics together with some others not yet discovered, but somewhat similar, would be one of the first to go. Should the fact that Turing et al. Took psi seriously mean that the rest of us should too? Well, not necessarily. Brilliant scientists believe in lots of things for which there is no evidence, like multiverses, superstrings, and God. I'm a psi skeptic because I think if psi was real, someone would surely have provided irrefutable proof of it by now, but how I wish that someone would find such proof. Unlike the boring foregone conclusion of the Higgs boson, after the discovery of telepathy or telekinesis would blow centuries of accumulated scientific dogma sky high. What could be more thrilling? Well, that's interesting that he would be such a proponent of blowing the lid off of the scientific dogma. I think that's encouraging. I think that's very encouraging. And it's also cool that such thinkers were proponents of it and willing to embrace the idea that there's more going on here. I've had more examples than I could shake a stick at. I forget more of this stuff than I remember by a long shot. It's just such a part of my journey. And that's not me blowing my own horn or anything. It's just, I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what any of it means, but I just know there's a lot more than we understand. There's a lot more going on here than we've been conditioned to believe. And it's not, I don't think it's malicious in many cases. I don't think there's a embargo on the truth when it comes to this stuff. It's just, there may be insofar as to admit the paranormal and the psychical and all of these fantastic things are real would dispute the credibility of the established sciences. I think that it is indeed a threat to their authority, as it would be. And that threat to the authority is power. There's so much effort by the established mainstream sciences to not acknowledge this stuff. Bigfoot alone, there's so many examples, hundreds and possibly thousands of casted footprints, several with dermal indicators on them, showing skin grade that matches primate, not human measures is out there. There are fur and tissue samples out there. Some have been tested, but even those tests are attacked vigorously. Then there's the anecdotal witnesses, the people that are seeing this stuff face to face, seeing things that are impossibly huge. And all of this stuff together should at least create some kind of urgency for an inquiry, for someone to look into it. And yet there is an absolute embargo on that nobody's going to fund it. Well, the only ones that are going to fund it are going to be people like all of you out there. And that's why these discoveries are going to be incredibly important, but it's not going to come by some authoritative body. It's going to take somebody providing enough evidence. And I don't think that is a body. I'm not a proponent of, in the case of Bigfoot, of slabbing a Bigfoot and bringing it in. We don't know how many there are. We don't know what that means. We don't know what repercussions or dangers that'll create for other people. I think it's very narrow-minded to think we got to provide a body. Would that provide evidence? For sure. If you could get it handled objectively and get the news out in a reasonably fast pattern, yeah, I think it could break the lid off of it. But I think that there's a lot of liabilities that go along with that aren't necessarily always considered. Like, for instance, the other people in the clan that watched their loved one fall, how they're going to feel about every hiker and camper that comes into those woods after that. They're not going to like it at all. In fact, they may start killing people. First Nations has plenty of stories of wars going back and forth between the Bigfoot or hairy people and the native First Nations, and they're not pretty. The natives knew to leave them alone, and there's a reason. So I don't know, but there's enough out there for all of this stuff, for UFOs, for Bigfoots, cryptids, even dogmen. So keep your mind open, folks. I'm just saying. All right, that's going to wrap it up for me. Stick around for Paisley Wild coming up now. Love you all. Be good. Be kind. Thank you, Titan. Be nice to everybody. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. See you tomorrow night. Don will be here. We'll tear it up. 2 hours, 7 p.m. Until then.